All right, welcome to the You Matter Show podcast. I'm Mark Bradinsky, host of the You Matter Show, and this is the show where we believe that everybody matters, right? Because the deepest principle of human nature is the craving to be appreciated. And too many people don't. They don't feel that they're safe, they belong, or that they matter. And my goal is to positively impact the lives of a billion people, get a billion people to believe that they matter. Imagine what the world would be like then, because the ripple effect could impact the whole world. And I'm thrilled to have my guest today, Traci Cantú. Traci joins us from Denver. She's a Master Mindpower coach that we'll get into here in a few minutes, and has a great story to tell because, you know what? Everyone struggles. Everyone goes through things in life and challenges. And the scars that you share are the value that people get from your story. So the scars are what we learn from, we empathize with, and that we can take into our own selves and move forward in life. So Traci, great to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Great to be here, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Sure. And I want to ask a couple questions here. I usually open up the podcast with these same two questions. What would you consider your greatest accomplishment and your greatest challenge in life so far?
So I would definitely say my greatest accomplishment is raising two great men, young men of integrity. My sons are my pride and joy. They really are what I say. They are great men of integrity, and that would be my biggest accomplishment thus far. I would say my biggest setback was losing my aunt to COVID. And during that time, I was also in charge of her medical care and had to make the heartbreaking decision to remove her from life support. So the trauma involved with that was something that cracked my heart wide open.
I'm sure that was difficult. I remember my dad getting sick, and I was the person that had to make the decision to send him to hospice, and he didn't last long. So it's a very difficult decision, and it's painful. You get through it. But so how did that impact your life? I mean, you said your greatest challenge. So what came out of that? Usually there's some positive that comes out of a negative. What transpired once that happened?
So I initially, when it happened, like I said, the pain was so great. It was so great. It scared me. And all in the back of my mind, all I could hear was hurt people, hurt people. And I didn't want to be one of those hurt people regurgitating my hurt. And I was invited to be a mind power coach at that time in my heavy grief. And I was excited and jumped at the opportunity. And I just dove deep into coaching. And now it's a beautiful story. I mean, I love helping people get through their shiitake, get over their running parachutes, or unresolved negative emotions. So that was the beautiful thing that came out of it.
Awesome. So we're both actually Master Mindpower coaches. Traci and I have gone through the program, most of the program together. We met at one of our elite retreats, and Steph and Shay that run the program, just two incredible people. So, the Mindpower program, if you want to talk a little bit more about that, you're welcome to.
Okay. So I was introduced to Mind Power through my great friend and mentor, Robert Vasquez. And it was a pivotal time. I started my first breakthrough in October of 2021. My aunt contracted COVID in November of 2021 and ultimately ended up passing that year. And just the newfound skills that I had helped me rebound from that setback very quickly. And I wanted to share it with the world. I loved what it did for myself and my family with the grieving process. And I think everybody needs a little mind power in their life.
Yes, they do. Mental toughness and emotional resilience, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Tapping in our unconscious mind can create amazing things in life. And speaking of your life, so let's go back a little farther back. You grew up in Denver, right?
Yes, I grew up in Denver.
How was
born and raised.
Born and raised in Denver. So you've never left. You're still there now, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So how was childhood?
Childhood, it had its own setbacks. My parents divorced right before I was 2 years old. My father was an alcoholic, and my mother was a shift worker. And so our grandparents raised us. My aunt lived at home, and so she had a huge impact on my childhood, kind of like a mother, if you will. So I am the middle daughter. So I have an older sister, and then 13 years later, we welcomed a little sister. But yeah, went to inner city schools. Ultimately went and moved to Fort Collins, Colorado, where talk about culture shock. I went from going to a school where cowboy is our mascot to actually going to school with cowboys. So that was fun. I ultimately came back to Denver, and it's where I've been since, I'd probably say, 96.
And so your aunt was a huge part of your life because she helped raise you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
Good. And so you had your boys when?
So I had my first son when I was a senior in high school. So that was difficult navigating. I always tell everybody I've been a mom my whole adult life. I turned 18 and 12 days later welcomed my first son. So I always knew what it took what hard work looked like. And I was always just waiting to jump at the opportunity to provide for my family. 4 years later, I welcomed my second son, and they truly were the fire that ignited me. I always wanted to do a really good job for them as a provider, as a mother, as a mentor, and didn't always make the right decisions. I was a young mother, and I did a lot of growing up with them. So that
were you a single mom?
I was a single mom, yes. So I briefly was married to their father for 5 years, and we divorced in 2005, and I was a single mom. Yes.
So have you been on your own since that time?
I've had a couple of relationships in between there, but most recently I've been single now for 3 years.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
good. And I know we had talked off camera here about, you had an accident at some point, right, in your life?
Yes. I'm a former flight attendant, and I'm also a former surgeon's assistant. I was injured flying. I lifted a really heavy bag out of the overhead bin, and I herniated a disc in my neck. I ripped out my biceps tendon in my left shoulder and tore the inside of the socket of my shoulder. So I was not a candidate for a fusion because I was born with a fusion at the level above. So it was very cutting edge and very new to medicine here in the States to have a total disc implant. So I found an excellent doctor here in Denver, and I had a total disc implant and almost didn't wake up out of surgery. So that was a really scary time and a really dark time in my life. I could hear everything that they were saying, but I physically couldn't wake up. I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't move. I heard the nurses crying, saying, like, we have no idea what's wrong with her. She's young. She's healthy. And then I wasn't quite sure if it was the anesthesiologist or the doctor, but now I know it was the anesthesiologist. And he said, all right, you call it. And then the doctor said, no, you call it. And here I am in my body saying, like, call what? I have to get home to my beautiful boys. Like, I'm not ready yet. And so the anesthesiologist said, that's it. I'm giving her Narcan. And I just like shot right up out of the bed, and everybody was like trying to hold me back down. And so that started a really dark time in my life. My pain, as you could imagine, was out of control. And I was required to be on a morphine drip for several days and was sent home heavily over-medicated. So I fell and broke my neck at the site of implant 13 days post-op.
And
that's where I told myself, this isn't a life that I want to live. I wouldn't accept the the darkness that I had from the pain. I know a lot of people say, well, a lot of people were saying like, well, you should have never let them, do the implant and you're going to be in pain for the rest of your life. But I couldn't accept defeat. I was still young. I was still healthy. I still had a lot of life in me. And I became really diligent in my rehabilitation, and I was able to successfully rehabilitate without limitation. It did knock me out of both of my careers, unfortunately, because I could not get a doctor that would allow me to have the lifting requirements that both jobs require me to have. And then, enter the anger, the sadness, the fear, like all of that set in. And I really had to reinvent the wheel. So I went on to Personal Assist, the largest mobile home manufacturer and mobile home park community founder. He was also a CEO and largest shareholder of a nationally chartered bank. And I learned a lot from him. I learned about, what it took to forge forward and what it meant to have true grit and to be even more tenacious and to know that there's no setbacks in this lifetime. There's only opportunities for a better outcome. So I then went on to Personal Assist my great friend and mentor, Robert Vasquez, and helped him run his real estate agency. And he was always invested in my personal growth. And he sent me to PSI seminars, which is also like a personal development. So he always kept that in the forefront. It was always really important to him and to me that I grow along the way. And no matter where we were at in life, he was always pushing me to do better, to have more and be more and do more. And he introduced me to Steph and Shay. And like I said, that couldn't have come at a more pivotal time in my life.
Well, they say there's always a silver lining, right? There's never things don't happen to you; they happen for you. If the accident hadn't happened and the surgery and the whole mess up, you never would have met the guy that taught you about grit, right, and how to fight back. And I know you're a fighter, so and then you end up working with Robert Vasquez, and so things change for the better. You just got to get through the pain sometimes to get to that point.
Yes.
And pain, not sometimes, all the time, right? Life is going to throw challenges and roadblocks at you all day long. And so life is about fighting back and continuing to build the muscle of getting up. And I know you've done that. And you're, example for not only for single moms, but for flight attendants, by the way. Don't lift heavy.
Don't lift that bag. Don't lift that bag. You never know what's in it.
You can't handle it, right? Gosh. So all flight attendants listening, don't overdo it, because look what happened to Traci.
Yes.
You got to be careful. And I know you've experienced some other things in your life. I know you've made, we again talked, I think at the Elite Retreat, about relationships you had and coming back from that. Are you willing to speak about that? Because I think it'll help a lot of people that have gone through the same thing that you have. Are you willing to share any of that with us?
Absolutely.
And the show, look, it's about you matter. And I know there are times from talking to you that you really didn't feel like you did matter. And so it's also coming back from that to get back around to the point that you know that you do. And obviously you do. You've been through the Mind Power program, gotten all the breakthroughs, and then we all know that we matter and we're here for a reason and have a purpose. But if you wouldn't mind talk a little bit about, what happened with some of your, I guess, relationships.
So with my husband, the father of my children, we came from two different backgrounds. He was first generation from Mexico, and I was born and raised in Colorado. So the odds were already somewhat against us, right? He had a different idea of what a marriage looked like than I did. I was raised by my grandparents, and my grandfather was a very hands-on, my wife cooks, I'll help clean. He would literally sit at the dinner table and make sure all the kids were fed, make sure she was fed, and then he would eat if there was anything left for him. And so that's what I grew up. I grew up watching two people just really be partners, having a partnership and really helping one another. And it was always them against everybody else. at the core of them, it was just, they were the team and we were the players. You know, we were players in their life, but it was always just them. And that's what I sought out. And I quickly became aware that that's not how my marriage was. And I don't want to say it was all his fault, right? Because there was also learned behaviors that I had from coming from a divorced home. So I didn't have all the right answers. But what I did know is this is not what a marriage looks like. And I don't want my sons to think this is what a marriage looks like. And I guess what's more important is I didn't want my sons to be in a home where there was constant battling against each other. So I asked for a divorce, and I don't think that he was too happy about that. But it was just what was best for me at that time. And I truly believe, you know, everybody that comes into your life is part of your story, right? But I also had to accept sometimes you're collateral damage in the story, and I had to be okay with that. I didn't quite get it yet, though, that I had some of my own shiitake to get over before I went into another relationship this person was a great love of my life. I mean, we were the best of friends. We did everything together. But he had a different idea of what life looked like and what he wanted for his life. He had been married and divorced and had 2 beautiful daughters. But he also had his own agenda. And I followed him down that path for a while. But I wasn't being true to myself. And it wasn't what was making me happy. So I ultimately ended the relationship because I felt like there was more to life and I wanted to live it. And I wasn't going to just live somebody else's story. So that was really hard for me. Really, really hard to leave a situation where it wasn't for a lack of love or respect. It was just because our paths were totally different and we began to do this. And I didn't want us to end up hating each other. I didn't want us to put ourselves through any turmoil. So I thought it would just be best for us to break up. When we broke up, I decided to go down the path and say, why am I finding these type of relationships that don't identify with me? Who am I? You know, I've been a mom my whole entire adult life. What is Traci like? What does she want to do? What does that even look like? You know? So I started the journey of falling in love with Traci and all of Traci's awesomeness and all of whatever Traci desires. So I fell back into a lot of travel, a lot of learning. I started Mindpower School, and now building a business. That's been the fun part. And helping people sharpen their emotional resilience and mental toughness.
That's great. Look, it sounds like, at least how you just how you describe that story, is that you were not living your story the way you wanted to live it. Mm-hmm. And like you said, every person that comes into your life does have a purpose, if you believe that, right? And it's chapter by chapter. And sometimes the chapter and the book ends. You know, there's a finale to that book. And you decided you were going to search out yourself and make Traci happy. Like you said, I mean, being a mom at 18, I can see where that your focus is not on you. Mm-hmm. No way. And you're learning along the way. You're not even an adult yet. Mm-hmm. You might be adult legally to be able to vote, but in terms of, you know, mental toughness and emotional resilience, you're not an adult. You're still learning as you go. And then to be responsible for another life and then 2 other lives, I can see where, you didn't put the spotlight on you about what Traci really wanted. And so you're living other people's lives, hoping that you'll be able to fall into their path and not realizing that you don't matter in that story, right? You want to know that you matter and get your own story going, right? And now it sounds like you are, and in all of your awesomeness, right? Living your life as we're all miracles, masterpieces, and heroes. Mm-hmm. Every single person, even the people that come into your life that you don't think were right, or I don't know, did something wrong, or they're still human beings, and we're all here for a purpose. Unfortunately, I don't think everyone is able to live their purpose.
Right.
It sounds like now that you are.
Yes.
Proud of everything that you've come through. So what does the future hold for Traci Cantú?
Well, hopefully the future holds a lot of love, a lot of success, a lot of health and wellness. I really know what it feels like to live an authentic life to myself, because I am really clear now on what my principles are, what my purpose is, and what my passion is. And I'm excited. I'm just excited for what lies ahead. Still looking, to date. I am dating. So that's been really fun now that I've identified those things. And now, I know what to look for. Like I said, I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Good. You should have fun with it, right? I mean, it's about experiencing yourself and experiencing yourself with other people, which when you become a duo, as I just did, then you can amplify your life and amplify your happiness. You can't find happiness through another human being. You have to find it within yourself, but the right human being next to you, or multiple human beings, depending on not just a spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend, but other friends, right? The people you spend the most time with, the 4 or 5 people you spend the most time with are going to influence your life greatly. Mm-hmm. And being part of this community too helps amplify happiness and success, and also hard work.
Absolutely.
You got to work hard.
And you said something that I would like to kind of like point out more, is because I was such a young mother, because I was, in these relationships that I really didn't get that, Mark. I really never got, I have to be happy and 100% whole. You don't pursue a relationship for happiness. You pursue a relationship for wholeness. And 2 people, it's very important that you're happy all on your own, because you should never have somebody be your happiness. And I think that deserves, to be said, because I think far too many people don't understand that. I definitely didn't. So I think that's the key. Right now, I know that I'm in charge of my own happiness, and I'm responsible to be happy all on my own.
We're all 100% responsible for the quality of our lives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you have to make it happen for you. I'm just like, I don't believe in meeting someone and saying, "Oh, you complete me."
No.
Because what happens if they're gone? Now, are you half of who you were before?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So good for you. And now you understand that, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Traci's going after Traci. This is important, because this is the deepest craving of humanity, of our human lives, is feeling that we matter, mm-hmm. that we have a purpose, that we belong, that we're safe. And it's sometimes the hardest thing to do. In fact, on your it's either Instagram or Facebook page, I looked at this line. I'm like, this is perfect. It's from Young Pueblo. Your self-love is a medicine for the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So the more self-love you have, the more self-love you can give. Mm-hmm. And that is medicine for other people. Mm-hmm. I want to be brought into your existence when you love yourself, because if you don't love you, then how can you expect other people to?
Absolutely. If you don't love yourself, how do you teach other people how to love you? It is just, it's opened up so much in my life. And I really do feel, to the core of me, I'm a better mother. I'm a better daughter. I'm a better sister. I'm a better friend. I'm a better coach because of it.
Definitely. And how are these boys that you've raised since you were so young doing?
They're amazing. They're both in the Mindpower family. They've been to their own breakthroughs. They're getting ready to do another breakthrough here pretty soon, because, as you know, it's an annual pilgrimage. And my youngest is 23 now. He lives in LA, and he's been out there for about 5 years now, and just loves it. He serves at fancy restaurants, and he also has his real estate license, and he is now dabbling into modeling and acting. So super proud of the young man he's become. And he's in the pursuit of, like all of us, the pursuit of excellence. And my oldest son is 27 now, and he is an amazing young man. He runs his dad's auto body shop, and he has a beautiful girlfriend, and they just have the best relationship ever. Maybe one day she'll be my daughter-in-law, who knows? But yes, just very, very amazing young men.
Terrific. raised by an amazing woman.
Thank you.
Appreciate you sharing the story. I mean, I keep this sign with me all the time. Your struggle will be your gift that the world will fall in love with. Like I said, you share your struggles and your scars. People learn from them and are better because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say? I mean, this is the You Matter Show podcast, Traci. What would you say to people who don't believe that they do matter?
I would say you do matter because everybody does have a story, and sharing that story and growing and learning from that story. If you could help one person in this world, you've done your job. I think everybody is worthy of love. Everybody is worthy of happiness. We just have to find it within ourselves to go after it.
Like I said, going inside to make the outside better.
Yes, absolutely.
The journey you took, and just again, watch what you're lifting from those overhead bins when it comes to it could lead to many other things.
Yes.
But look, I really appreciate you joining us on the You Matter Show podcast. It's been a joy. You're a joy. Look forward to continuing the relationship to our Mind Power community. We're all going to try to help as many people as possible. We have a mission here to positively impact the lives of 1 billion people, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That's our overarching mission, and we're going to make it happen, no doubt. We just have to have that vision. Cool.
Absolutely.
Well, Traci, thank you. Be seeing you soon. Appreciate you joining us on the You Matter Show podcast, and
Awesome.
we'll look forward to the next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Have a great week, a great month, a great life, and we will be we'll be talking soon.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.
Bye-bye.